Posse TV, the pest control industry's original pest control television network, is made possible by the support from Neogen, providers of the SureKill line of products that offer trusted and proven formulations to treat problem pests effectively. Nisus, makers of professional-grade borax-based pesticides that provide a highly effective, targeted kill while creating the least possible impact on people, pets, and the environment. Syngenta, providing innovative solutions to help pest management professionals solve any pest challenge. And in partnership with Pest Management Professional Magazine, offering news, advice, insights, and information for businesses and individuals who work in the pest control industry. This episode of Pest Posse TV is brought to you by Demand CS. There's going to be a link to Demand CS in the description of this episode. That way you can go and learn more about this product. Welcome everyone to this episode here at Pest Posse TV. That is right, we are back in the house today. Well, we have somebody back on that we just seem to cannot get rid of, and he's just a glutton for punishment wanting to come back on. That's right, we have got Tim Husen from Syngenta back with it. Tim, it just seems like that you're just gravitating towards us. You just like us a lot, don't you? You want to be on here a lot. You're
like a true pest, Foster. I am pulled towards you, and I'm persistent. I'm persistent, at least, right? There, I have that.
You are persistent.
No, it's what you guys are doing, and the education and tools that you guys are providing is very important. So anytime I can help participate, I will.
Yeah, and we certainly do appreciate it. But I just have to give a shout out. Of course, everybody knows that this episode is sponsored by Syngenta. We just have to say that, your team there at Syngenta really has stepped up in a big way to really support what we're doing here at the Pest Posse. And we just really appreciate it. And we'll have you on anytime, because like we've said before, Tim, you're just a wealth of information. And I think a lot of people glean a lot of great things from you when you come on. And we've done some great things. And this is just going to be another great, I think, episode that we're going to be delving into something here and kind of talking about something that Syngenta's done. And really to kind of, I think, help out really the PMPs and the business owners, really kind of save some money. But, a product that I've used a lot in the industry, and, we're talking about Demand CS. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and some things with that. I know here at the Pest Posse, we really haven't gone into that too much, but, I know I've used Demand in the past, and it's a good standby product. It's a good all around product. No complaints with it whatsoever. But really kind of to start this off with, before we start really delving into what that product is about, why is it important? We're just going to jump right into this. Why is it important for these PMPs really to choose a material that's going to have a long lasting really effect? It's really going to have, it's going to last a long time, really, no matter where you put that application at.
Well, and that's kind of the bedrock of why you choose Demand CS, is what you're referring to is residual, like product residual length, right, Foster? So when we're talking about residual length right now, when you're doing services, unless it's some type of commercial account and you're going weekly, bi-weekly, I mean, at a minimum, our service interval is a month. Routinely at places, especially on the residential or general pest side. I mean, some folks are even stretching 60 days, 90 days. I've been working with pest control companies going to triannual service. And when you're talking about going, 3 times a year now, every 4 months, 120 days, residual length of your product really becomes important. But even so, down to 1 month, you need to make sure you're applying a product that's going to hold up to the environmental conditions, that's going to withstand photo degradation, hydrolytic or water degrading it if you have precipitation, or a customer heavily irrigates an area. You need some product that's going to do its best to hold up and bind, whether that be to organic matter or bind to surface, to leave a residual for, after you're not there. And you want that residual to stretch as long as it can until your next service interval. I mean, it's not always going to last until the next time you're there. But if you have that product residual length working in your favor, a callback or something like that is a lot less likely than if you're using a lower residual length product or a non-residual product.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. You need to be looking at that. as a PMP. You definitely, with everything that you mentioned with that, you have to have that long residual, because yeah, you're just going to start getting into a world of hurt. And yeah, it's so amazing. I mean, I've noticed, being in the industry 30 plus years now, it's changed. When I first got into it, yeah, we were doing those triannual services, we were doing those quarterly services, and then we started getting into bi-monthlies and monthly services, even with residential. And now it seems like with technology, we're switching back to where we were with these, like you said, triannual services, these
Yeah,
quarterly
it's
services. It's kind of
it's
amazing.
kind of, yeah, it's kind of a roller coaster
Yeah.
of how we want to flow and operate. Or, and I mean, it's still, it's an individual company's decision,
Exactly.
how or where they think best. If they feel their customers want to see them more frequently, then they're going to go something lower. But you can still optimize your formulation for residual length by using something like a CS, like Demand CS, a capsulated suspension, that's going to give you I mean, you don't need to apply it at the max label rate. You're still going to get the attributes of what's making that product last, even at the mid label rate or the low label rate.
Yep.
So a product like Demand CS with a fluctual label rate, but you're still getting the attributes of that formulated product that lend to you the residual length that you need for your service. So
Exactly.
that's what gives it great applicability to, like I said, even a commercial route where you're going much more frequently, or a long-term residential route. It fits in both places.
Yeah, like I said, it's a well-rounded material, and one, like I said at the beginning here, I've used a lot when I was running commercial services. And I used it for indoor, outdoor. I mean, it was pretty much my go-to. That's what I used a lot. It was a great material. And when we're looking at Demand CS, it's got something that's called this ICAP technology. I mean, you kind of mentioned that a little bit, but let's delve into this. Let's get a little technical here. What is this ICAP technology?
Okay, the ICAP technology, that's essentially what makes the CS the CS. And the ICAP technology is our micro encapsulation. So Demand CS, as it sits in that bottle, right, has an active ingredient, lambda cyhalothrin. And then it has inert ingredients, or the formulation ingredients, and the formulation ingredients are what make up this ICAP, and that's kind of the protective sphere, so to say. So think of the lambda cyhalothrin. If it was floating free in solution, it would be alone, but our lambda cyhalothrin has capsules, or think of it like little bubbles almost around it, protecting it. And the ICAP is what the framework, or the chemistry that makes that protective bubble, so to say, around the active ingredient. And it's not just the framework of it that makes it unique and proprietary, but it's the chemical process to create the range. So, when you mix up a gallon of Demand CS, you've got the ICAP coating that molecule, but the ICAP is actually set up to be a range of sizes, ranging from a very small protective sphere to a very larger. Like, and when I say small to large, we're still talking microns in size. So these are very small things, but think of it as small to large size range, and that's what gives you that. If an insect picks up a small microencapsulated AI, you know, ICAP, so to say, it will work its way quick through, because it doesn't take much to dissolve that ICAP once it's bound to the cuticle of the bug, and it works very fast. So the small range will give you a quick knockdown, but the larger size protective encapsulation will give you that long residual life. So a lot of companies out there have Syngenta made a smart decision, and it's not a patented thing, this ICAP, it's proprietary. Um, Foster, you say you've been spraying it for 30 years in this industry. Yeah, it turns 30 this year. Demand CS does. And a lot of the reason why it's turning 30 is because it was not patented in the way where somebody could just open the cookbook and be like, hey, I want to make Demand CS and I want to make ICAP today. They can't do that. A lot of generic companies have tried, a lot of other manufacturers have tried, or, in their way, shape, or form, to create something similar, but it's a very unique chemical process and proprietary process that makes the encapsulation that Demand CS has. And I mean, it's been able, that alone has basically carried it through as if not I'm biased, the best, but a workhorse general pest in and commercial pest control, insect control product in our industry.
The Demand CS insecticide 10-gallon drum can help simplify storage and applications while providing trusted insect control. The 10-gallon drum includes a built-in impeller, a gravity-fed dispensing valve, and an ergonomic design, all of which allow for easy stacking and storage.
For those PMPs that might be kind of new to the industry, or maybe even those veterans that really don't know how really Demand CS works on the insect, let's dive a little bit deeper and let's talk about that as far as how that works when it gets on that insect and the insect crawls across it. How is that mode of action? How does that work for that insect?
Well, Demand CS is going to work. It contains a pyrethroid insecticide. I mean, we've formulated it, we've sprayed it. If we hit an insect with it, it's going to, kill on contact essentially. If you're asking for how the AI works and the mode of action, pyrethroids are a nervous system inhibitor. So they inhibit the proper function of nerve cells or neurons, right? And sending a message from one neuron to another, you disrupt that. Basically, the insect's nervous system isn't working. It's not able to power its own muscle function, leading to hyperexcitation, paralysis, and death in the bug.
Yeah.
Demand CS works really good because that proprietary eye cap also helps it stick better to the insect cuticle. So insects pick up things by contact, whether with their feet, their tarsi, possibly even an antenna, something along those lines, body contact, their abdomen rubbing over a treated surface. If it's walking over, if you don't hit the bug by spraying it itself, it walks over a treated surface where you've left a residual or a coating of your spray product on that surface. The insect walks over that, picks it up, and then that end cap actually, like I said, helps it dissolve through the oil of that cuticle, and the molecule itself works its way into the insect, where it then reaches its site of action, which, as I said, is that the nervous system or the neuron, the proper neuron or sodium channel function of how that neuron's working.
Thanks for going deep on that, because I think it's important. I think it's important for PMPs that don't understand, the technology, really understand how these materials that we're using out in the field, how they work. I think it's kind of a little bit of a misstep for them as far as being able to educate their customer, not in a technical way, but really understand what they're using out there so they can educate their customer what to expect and what to see from their treating. So I appreciate you
And
kind of
and
getting a
and
little technical on that.
and I know we kind of got down in the weeds there, and I think sometimes we focus too much on understanding mode of action and how something works. If you want my simple answer, it's a contact insecticide. You need to put it on a surface that the bug is going to contact, whether
Yep.
that be someone's foundation, whether that be the organic matter or mulch or grass abutting the foundation, whether that be some sort of landscape plant for mosquitoes or webbing spiders or something along those, or you know what I mean? Like, you have to get the product where the bug will contact it. Then it will work a lot better. So
Yeah.
a contact insecticide.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good layman's term as far as doing that. Yeah, because that's what a lot of techs want. They don't like the weed stuff, but I still think it's important for them to understand that,
Yep.
understand what's
Yep.
going on with that. And I think we pretty much said that, and you already said it. I mean, Demand CS, I mean, has a wide variety of pests that it can control. There's really no restrictions on those pests, right? Pretty much you name it, it's pretty much going to control it. Is that correct?
Not four-legged and not two-legged, but yes, most six-legged pests. I mean, we've got, I think, excess of 90 listed pests, something around there. I haven't gone back to the label and counted it. If you actually add in turf and turf grass pests that are listed on the label as well, or ornamental plant pests, easily over 90. Just an array of structural, that's the thing. It is a broad spectrum insecticide. Demand CS, it works against a lot of insects as long as they come in contact with the residue.
Exactly. Like we keep saying, like you said, it's a workhorse. It's a good general purpose all around, because I guess the next question is, there is no restrictions as far as using this material. It's pretty much going to be applied anywhere inside and out. Is that correct?
It has indoor and outdoor application. I mean, there's indoor, there's food surface restrictions. I mean, you always want to, anytime you're talking about restrictions associated with the product, Foster, we really want to read that label. We want to make sure we know and understand our federal regulation, our federal use restrictions, our possible state specific use restrictions, right? But understand where and how it can be applied in a food or a food or a residential counter setting where food might be exposed. So you might be crack and crevice void in those areas. Maybe not a broadcast treatment over someone's carpet, right? We want to make sure we read like those sections of labels associated with fleas or indoor treatments for fleas or things like that. There's use restrictions outdoors. I mean, once you've come into, I mean, this again is understanding that label. If we're making a structural treatment, we're 3 feet. The maximum we can do is 3 feet up the foundation, 10 feet out, right? And that language might change federally at some point to shorten that bandwidth down. But it's all spelled out for you in the product label, right? How best to make an application on a structural exterior perimeter with the product. So what type of band you can treat, what type of crack and crevice around entry points you can treat, how big a spot treatment is. So no greater than 2 square feet. Like all of that information is spelled out. Beyond that, there are in the use restriction section for something like demand or any pyrethroid insecticide, how close can you get to water? The label spells that out. I think demand is 25 feet, right? From a permanent source of water. There's wind restriction, which can be very relevant, especially, I mean, Demand CS is an incredible mosquito control product. Right. There's a lot of folks out there using it for mosquito control as part of their, 30, 45 day. There's companies doing 45 day, 30, 45 day service models using Demand CS. But wind, how fast can you apply it in the wind speed, especially when you're using something that drives that particle size down? When you decrease particle size, like with a mist blower, you lead to the likelihood of drift, right? So it makes that wind restriction, which I believe to be 15 miles an hour, on the EPA label. Some states might say 10. That's when we're talking about that, there's a lot of the applicator themselves needing to understand what specifically applies to them. I mean, the label spells out dilution rates, it spells out application rates. Too many times people get in the rut of thinking an application rate is 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. When in actuality, it's an amount of formulated product per 1,000 square feet or an amount of AI per 1,000 square feet. So you can make 0.8 fluid ounce into 1 gallon, 0.8 fluid ounces of the concentrate into 1 gallon of water. That makes a 0.06% dilution. And if you're going to put that out on 1,000 square feet, you can do that per the label. But you could also put that 0.8 fluid ounces into 4 gallons of water and put it out on the same 1,000 square feet, and you've done the same application rate. That's the kind of the label spells out. That's not necessarily a restriction, but the label spells out how and where you can use this product and why, and it guides you and gives you directions. I mean, all pyrethroids have restrictions where you can't treat, trying to use the exact language, right? You can't treat impervious ground below you unless there's a permanent overhang above you. So impervious like concrete, sidewalks, parking lots. You can only come out as far onto pervious would be ground cover or landscape or dirt, that sort of thing. If it's concrete below you, you can only come out as far as if there's a permanent cover above you. So someone's walk-up porch or an abutting slab porch that has permanent cover overhang, you could treat out from that because you have permanent overhang. But if there was no permanent overhang, you could only do crack and crevice along that abutting slab or along that expansion joint where that abutting slab meets the house foundation. Right. And those are the restrictions I mean, that's widespread across our industry, and that's been in effect for a while now. But those are the types of things you need to understand what type of product you're using. You need to understand the label language associated with it, and then let the label guide you through any questions you may have on those restrictions.
No, and I think that is yeah. I mean, we've all got to read the label is the law, and we've got to read the label. We've got to understand the label. We've got to understand what's on there and how we can use it, where we can use it at. And that's so important. And I appreciate you breaking that down because, yeah, again, I mean, I think some PMPs, they just kind of get in a rut and, maybe they kind of forget these kind of things and they just think, oh, well, yeah, and it's a general workhorse. We're just going to use it anywhere, any way we want. But there are some restrictions and some things you need to be mindful of because we need to be careful of that. And you mentioned a lot of those, and I think that's good. And I guess one thing
I
with
mean,
demand,
we are stewards of the environment, right? Like, we're the
100%.
professionals. You said it
Yep.
best, Foster. We're the professionals, or PMPs, right?
Yep.
We're the professionals,
Yep.
and we read and abide and follow labels and want to continue using great products. Demand's turning 30 this year. I want to be around and work in this industry when it turns 50 or 60.
Yep.
I don't want it to
Exactly.
be restricted and regulated away from me.
Yeah. No,
That's not my goal
no,
for any product. There's a lot of effective products, but
exactly.
certainly not demand. So,
Exactly. And you made a good, you made a good point there. And like I keep saying, PMPs and stuff. That's why you all need to understand when Mrs. Jones or Mrs. Smith or whoever it is telling you to do something that's not within the label and what the label's saying, you should not be doing that because we are the professionals. So don't get bullied with that because it's just like going to a doctor. I mean, we're going to, the same analogy and stuff. You're not going to tell the doctor how to remove your appendix or do something. We're the same thing. And we need to keep with that and keep mindful of that just because we have an all around product here that, there are restrictions. And just because somebody's telling you to do something, don't do it. Read a label. That's the main thing I think with that. But I guess really kind of the one thing, let's really kind of talk about this here when kind of wrapping this whole thing up as far as the packaging of Demand CS. I think this is kind of interesting, something that Syngenta has done. How is this product packaged?
yeah, we traditionally we package the product like you could buy it in a 1 quart bottle. That's great for people. I mean, these are tip and pour bottles. So you're measuring out the amount of concentrated product you need with a scale on one side of the bottle, right? Agitating it by inversion, tipping it over, getting product into there. The 1 quart bottle was always great for people that you could mix down to 1 gallon in a pressurized hand spray or something like that, or your 2.5 to 4 gallon backpack. Easy to make rates in there because the graduations on the bottle are easy to measure. Right. Then we had a 2 quart bottle that was more ideal for your 25, 50 gallon 100 gallon sprayers, even bigger rigs than that, right? The graduations of how you would tip and pour and measure that actually lended towards those types of application equipment. Now we've got a 10 gallon drum of this product. This is a recent innovation where we'd been packaging products like this on our agricultural side for a while, and Syngenta is one of the world's biggest agrochemical companies, and we finally kind of peeked over the curtain a little bit and was like, how are they packaging something over there, and on our crop side is over there, and basically we saw something very unique and a very unique opportunity for us to put a new spin on how PMPs can A, purchase, and B, get our product into a service container or a packaging container. The 10 gallon drum basically, oftentimes people, I mean, drums have been in use in our industry to hold formulated products. Normally they're a 20, 30 gallon drum, a big drum, and you need a pressurized pump, some sort of mechanical pump that then has to pressurize the whole barrel and then pump out of that. Our drum is unique in that there is no pressurization. Oftentimes, the mixing process to mix a 30 gallon drum that's been sitting around is time consuming. 30 minutes, potentially an hour of running the pump and agitating the product before you're actually pouring pump out of it, and then there's pump maintenance after that. So we kind of tried to get away. That's what sent us looking to the other side of the curtain, was trying to get away from that inconvenience of this pump, right? The attributes that make a drum applicable are it's very sustainable, right? As long as you can properly get rid of the drum, you can triple rinse it once it's empty and recycle it just like you would any service container. Right, so there's sustainability. There's also usability. You can fill however many bottles you need. You're not stuck buying a case or six, 24 bottles at a time or this or that. You buy the drum and it sits there stable. Our drum has unique attributes. It has an impeller built into it, and all you need to agitate it is like a battery powered hand drill or a corded hand drill of some sort. You hook the drill right up to that impeller. You impel for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're good to go. That's all the longer it needs to sit there. You basically then you stand the drum 10-gallon drum upright. You That's how you impel it, and then you move it back down, and basically it's a very similar filling apparatus to what you might see on a laundry detergent thing, or basically just an open and closed valve, and then you're filling your own jugs. And we have pre-labeled service jugs, so you can get empty 1 quart, empty 2 quart jugs, whatever you had before. You can fill and reuse those from the drum itself. So you end up, there's going to be some inherent cost savings potentially. There's certainly a sustainability function with this, where you're using less waste by not having to keep rebuying the same 1 quart or 2 quart bottle, right, to fill your product out of it. So it's not necessarily a new product or a new spin on demand. It's a new way of buying demand that might make it easier for your specific situation, or if sustainability is something you're into, in terms of less plastic impact on the environment. It's certainly something to check out. But it's definitely very unique packaging. I would contact, if you're interested in hearing about it, I would definitely contact your Syngenta territory sales manager. They'll be able to talk your ear off about it. But it's definitely something unique, and no other company is packaging a product in this way right now.
I would 100% agree, because when I went and looked at it and I saw that packaging, I was like, one, I liked it that it was 10 gallons. I thought that was like a perfect size. And then in two, yeah, not having the pump and having all that external stuff. Yeah, it looks so unique. And I love the way it was packaged. I just think that's great.
And I mean,
Definitely
you're still getting the same product that you're used to getting, the same demand
yeah,
CS that you're used to getting out of it.
yeah,
That's going to give you incredible, like I said, photo stability, incredible water, binding to organic matter very tightly, staying where you put it once that spray dries, right?
yeah,
For treating on that plant leaf or treating on that foundation, giving you that 10,000 microcaps, those 10,000 iCaps per square inch. Right, that you're getting that same product. It's just a completely unique way of packaging it and selling it.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate Syngenta stepping up for that and giving us something here, a little bit of innovation, something to give us some cost savings and all that. I really do appreciate that, and just appreciate your time today, Tim, to really kind of go over Demand CS again, imparting your knowledge on this and letting us know about this product. I mean, we haven't really talked about this before, so I just really appreciate your time today and coming back on. It's become a usual thing with you, and I appreciate it. So thanks for your
Happy
time
to be
today.
here, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So awesome.